FM. I am Solomon of FM. First, our top stories. President Erdogan of Turkey promises to stand by Nigeria in fight against terrorism. Terrorists raise ransom to 250 million naira and 20 motorcycles to free 166 abducted worshippers in Kaduna. DHQ's investigation uncovers colonel who allegedly plotted coup to oust Tinubu. House of Reps summons Auditor General, Finance and Agri Ministers over missing records on farm subsidies. On our international scene, South Korea's ex-First Lady jailed for 20 months for taking bribes. And in sports, Novak Djokovic scrapes into Australian Open semi-finals after Musete injuries. Those are our top stories. Details coming up in just a moment. First on the news, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan says his country will support Nigeria's fight against terrorism, expressing readiness to deepen collaboration in military training and intelligence. Speaking at a joint press conference with President Bola Tinubu during his official visit to the capital Ankara, Erdogan said that under Tinubu's leadership, Nigeria is taking firm steps against terrorism and Turkey stands by the Nigerian people in the struggle. The Turkish president said terrorist groups, particularly in Africa's Sahel region, pose a threat to the continent's stability. Nigerian officials also held meetings with Turkey's leading defense industry firms during the visit and expressed confidence that the outcomes of those talks would be positive. On trade, the Turkish leader said the two countries reaffirmed their $5 billion trade volume target, exploring new steps to enhance bilateral economic ties. He stated that during the talks, both leaders discussed concrete steps needed to reach the goal and welcomed the establishment of the Joint Economic and Trade Committee, JETCO, to support bilateral effort. Erdogan believes that Tinubu's visit reflected Nigeria's strong political will to deepen economic ties. According to him, Nigeria holds a key role in restructuring Africa's energy economy, and Turkey is eager to strengthen investment and trade relations in this field. Nigeria has been fighting the insurgency war for over 12 years, with thousands killed and more displaced. On Monday, the president departed Abuja for the state visit to the European country. Meanwhile, Euratom suspected terrorists who abducted no fewer than 166 worshippers in the Kajuru local government area of Kaduna State have increased their ransom demand to 250 million naira and 20 motorcycles. The village head of Karamin Wali Ishaku Dan Azume disclosed these on Tuesday while speaking on the plight of the community, days after armed men stormed through churches in the area and carried out one of the largest mass abductions recorded in recent times. According to Dan Azumi, the attack occurred on January 18, 2026, when gunmen invaded Karamin Wali village during a religious gathering, abducting men, women, and youth indiscriminately. Dan Azumi said the latest demand by the kidnappers were far beyond the reach of the largely rural community, already battered by repeated attacks and economic hardship. Residents of Kajuru local government area, located in southern Kaduna, have for years lived under the shadow of banditry and kidnapping, with communities frequently targeted for mass abductions, killings, and arson attacks that have displaced hundreds of families. Many villagers have been forced to flee their homes in search of safety, abandoning farmlands and livelihoods as security concerns and challenges continue to escalate in rural parts of the state. Community leaders are now urging the Kaduna state government and security agencies to urgently intensify rescue efforts and deploy stronger security measures to prevent further assault on vulnerable rural communities. An interim investigation report to the alleged plot against President Bola Tinubu's government has revealed that a clandestine network of military officers coordinated by unnamed army colonel rather, had planned the takeover with funding, recruitment and operational planning traced directly to him. The report indicated that the army officer, whose repeated failures in promotion reportedly fueled his dissatisfaction, mobilized like-minded officers across the Army, Navy and Air Force, assigning them to survey critical national installations, including the Presidential Villa, Major Barracks and International Airport. In October 2025, the DHQ announced the arrest of 16 officers over acts of indiscipline and breaches of service regulations. The officers, ranging from the rank of captain to brigadier general, were arrested by the Defense Intelligence Agency for holding secret meetings to topple the government and linked the alleged plot to the cancellation of the October 1 Independence Day parade. At the time, the then Director of Defense Information, Brigadier General Tukaro Gusau, retired, dismissed the report as an attempt to create tension and distrust, stating that the matter was a purely internal disciplinary issue. He said an investigative panel had been constituted and that its findings will be made public. Providing an update on Monday, the new Director of Defense Information, Major General Samaila Uba, stated that a comprehensive investigation had now been concluded in accordance with established military procedures, and the report had been forwarded to the appropriate superior authority. In the interim investigation report, the indicted colonel was described as the alleged coordinator of the plot. Investigators said the planned coup went beyond casual dissent and had entered the early stages of operational planning, including the covert surveillance of critical national assets such as the Presidential Villa, Armed Forces Complex, Niger Barracks, Abuja, and Lagos International Airport. The House of Representatives had a committee probing agricultural subsidies, intervention funds, aids and grants, had summoned the Auditor General of the Federation and the Minister of Finance and Agriculture over what lawmakers described as glaring gaps in accountability for funds released to the sector between 2015 and 2025. The summons followed what the committee said were unsatisfactory documents and missing audit records presented during a resumed hearing at the National Assembly. The chairman of the committee, Jamu Aminu, expressed frustration at the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation for failing to produce audit report covering several agricultural subsidy and intervention programs over the 10-year period. Aminu said the probe was part of the House's efforts to scrutinize public spending in the agricultural sector amid rising food prices, worsening food insecurity, and growing concerns over the impact of repeated government intervention schemes. According to him, the committee expected a detailed audit report that would allow lawmakers to track how funds were disbursed, utilized, and what outcomes were achieved by programs designed to boost food production, support farmers, and improve national food security. However, a deputy director of the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation, Mohammed Adamu, told the committee that delays in completing the audit were caused by the failure of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture to provide key documents. Adamu said the Auditor General's office had repeatedly requested records on agricultural subsidies, grants, aids, and intervention programs, but had not received the necessary cooperation. Lawmakers warned that failure to honor the summons would attract legislative sanctions in line with the powers of the National Assembly. Justice Emmanuel Subilim of the National Industrial Court has ordered workers of the Federal Capital Territory Administration (FCTA) to suspend their ongoing industrial action pending the hearing and determination of the originating summons. The ruling followed an application filed by the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, seeking a court order compelling striking FCTA workers to resume and return to work. In the suit, the FCT minister named the president and the secretary of the Joint Union Action Congress JUAC as respondents. Justice Subilimi held that industrial action, including strikes, must be suspended once a dispute had been referred to the National Industrial Court. The court noted that the suspension ensures the dispute is properly resolved and that ongoing strikes must halt upon the commencement of a suit by originating summons, which constitutes a referral. The judge further stated that failure to comply may attract sanctions. He emphasized that the public interest in maintaining industrial peace outweighs any inconvenience caused by suspending the strike. The case has been adjourned to March 25, 2026 for hearing. On January 19, workers of the Federal Capital Territory Administration and the Federal Capital Development Authority commenced an industrial action, shutting down activities across Abuja over what they described as unmet demands by the federal government. And out of business news, the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) has approved the temporary use of expired National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control (NAFDAC) licenses to importers for import documentation purposes. A circular by the Apex Banks Trade and Exchange Department said authorized dealer banks may continue to process Form M applications with NAFDAC licenses that expired on December 31, 2025. He said the measure was necessitated by operational challenges linked to the migration from the legacy Nigeria Integrated Customs Information System to platform. The approval, which takes effect immediately, will run for 2 months and lapse on February 28, 2026. The CBN explained that the approval followed a temporary suspension granted by NAFDAC and applies strictly to Form M processing during the period. According to the CBN, importers have been unable to validate or renew NAFDAC licenses during the transition, particularly due to difficulties encountered on the Biodogo platform after December 2025. To ease the bottlenecks and prevent delays in import documentation, the bank directed all authorized dealer banks to continue accepting the affected licenses within the approved window. You are currently listening to the World News at 12 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. We'll go straight to our analysis segment where we have Peter Anosike, current affairs analyst. He's an academic doctor with PhD on consulting and profit management from Brenner University in the state of Delaware, United States. He is the author of the book Abuse of Power: How Democracy Turned into Tyranny of the Few. Dr. Anosike, it's a pleasure. Thank you for joining us on the news.
Thank you for having me.
Let's go to the first topic for discussion, the first of from our news item, which is Turkish President Recep Erdogan promising to support Nigeria's fight against terrorism, expressing readiness to deepen collaboration and cooperation in Nigeria's training and intelligence. Now, the President, Bola Tinubu, has been criticized several times for his incessant traveling outside of the country, especially at a time where Nigeria is battling insecurity. And the presidency has defended his travels several times, that he's trying to deepen economic collaboration with other countries. And of course, critics have criticized that reason, saying for all his traveling, we've not seen any product of the economy, no improvement. On the macro level, the presidency have defended that on the macro things are good, on paper things are good, but on the micro situation, the economy continue to go from bad to worse. Now, but for the first time in a while, his visit is having a security backing, with the Turkish president, affirming the support of his country with Nigeria in terms of insecurity. How far do you think that will go? Do you think they finally, for the first time in a while, his visits is beginning to yield security results besides organs blazing from the U.S. president?
Well, it's just a discussion. There has not been implementation. This is just a discussion.
Discussion is not a bad start.
Buhari discussed for 8 years and nothing came out of it. Buhari junketed the odd parts of the world for 8 years and nothing came out of it.
Well, in the defense, Buhari's travel were majorly medical travels than anything else, and that's Buhari. This is Tinubu. They are two different persons.
This is a continuation of Buhari's administration, and nothing has changed. So the issue is this: anytime that Tinubu moves, understand, a minimum of 2 billion naira is spent. Minimum of 2 billion naira is spent. And if you watch how many times that Tinubu traveled in 2025, and at the end of the day, what we had was 19 billion as FDI. Understand?
Okay.
You can see that staying in Nigeria would have been far better, because it is costing us more, him traveling, than staying in Nigeria, and that position still remains the same. Staying in Nigeria, it will be better for us than Tinubu going out, because he is traveling, paying of hotel accommodation, paying of the extra code with those that traveled with him, and maintaining the presidential jet, buying jet fuel, and so on and so forth. Understand me? So Tinubu staying in Nigeria is far better economically than him traveling outside.
Okay.
Because we are not getting the result of his constant traveling outside. I can even say that Tinubu now visits Nigeria. Understand me? I can now say that Tinubu now visits Nigeria, because he resides more outside than in Nigeria. So that simply shows you that he visits Nigeria. And for his traveling, we are not seeing anything, but there's no result at all. In which sector? In which sector are you seeing the result of his travels? Mind you, Turkey has been sanctioned by many of the countries in Europe, because the president is involved in terrorism financing.
And he's an authoritarian regime.
Understand me? And he's not a democratic, understand me?
President.
So and those are the countries that he can go. Understand me? Arab world, this Eastern Europe, which is more or less like third world countries. So Erdogan is battling with his own security issues inside there.
This is why some will argue
that he is battling with his own
some
security
will say
issues.
This is the reason why the collaboration is necessary. Now, the country has been battling with insecurity. Some will argue that the president knows how to stop this insecurity if he wants. But the point is, it's obvious that the federal government and its security architecture are not capable of nibbing this insecurity in the bud, which means definitely they need help. For now, the only help we have is 100% dependent on U.S. and Donald Trump. U.S. and Donald Trump have their own issues. Donald Trump has been tagged an authoritarian president. There's a whole lot of killings going on in the U.S. by ICE. There's a whole lot of protest. The U.S. president have his own issues, so he can't leave the issues in the U.S. and come and do everything in Nigeria. So it's some will argue that the president needs support from other countries too.
Those saying of a lot of killings that's from ICE doesn't know what is happening in the United States. They're not following all the stories. The two people that were killed, to me, they committed suicide. To me, they commit. The nurse that was killed, what was he doing with a pistol?
Well,
you are going on a protest.
She's authorized to carry a pistol.
You are going on a protest and you have a pistol. What is your intention?
She has the authority. She has the pistol.
What is your intention? So for me, he deserves to die. The woman that was in her car, they were flagging her that to stop.
Dr. Anosike, that's a very cruel thing to say. I mean, most U.S. citizens that have authority to carry pistol wherever they go.
During a protest
or otherwise. I mean, the same thing happened in January 6th, didn't it? Where the U.S. president fueled a protest. Most of them carried gun and invaded the Capitol. And those are thousands of people.
The story
and then just one woman with a gun, and that's a very big issue against the 5-6 ICE members. I mean, that's not tenable.
Excuse me, you don't confront law enforcement agencies. You don't confront law enforcement agencies.
But the same argument we've had in Nigeria for years. There are procedures. One woman with gun against 5, 6, 7 law enforcement agency, and they can't subdue him or subdue her instead of shooting her. Isn't it the same argument we've been having in Nigeria of trigger-happy policemen and trigger-happy law enforcement in Nigeria?
Excuse me. You don't confront law enforcement agencies with your arm. It's suicidal. Understand? If they stop you, you should obey them. Understand me? You should. But these guys have been brainwashed. They have been, and again, how many people has ICE killed a man and a woman? Understand? And they cannot prosecute that case because those people are responsible for their death.
But be it as it may,
that's not even the point of argument.
Be it as it may, US have their issues. So Donald Trump cannot leave the issues in US and come and face issue in Nigeria. The president needs collaboration.
He is the president of the United States and not the president of Nigeria.
Definitely.
And this man was unquote elected to solve our problems. Understand me? And anyway, he solved it to us, provided that the killing in the country stops. Understand me? So, but he is going with people who are having the same problem. It's just like two poor people making friends who can help each other. Understand me?
Well, but you can't exactly call Turkey a poor country.
What I mean by two poor countries, Turkey is battling with insecurity. Understand? They have been sanctioned by Europe and America for sponsoring terrorism in many parts of the world. Understand? So, which means they have the same problem with us.
Isn't that a good collaboration then?
Okay,
two people with the same countries trying to fight, collaborate and fight together.
He had not gotten his own right. Understand me? You should be looking for somebody who has achieved what you want to achieve. Understand? And Turkey had not achieved what Nigeria wants. There are many insecurity-free countries in the world. Tinubu should be going to them. How do you manage to make your country insecurity-free? And not somebody who has been accused of sponsoring terrorists. Understand? Mind you, Turkey was fighting Syria. that's over ISIS. So for me, going to Turkey is like going to China or going to India. Understand? There's no difference at all. So for Tinubu,
China is a huge country. It's still a country that you can ask for help. I mean, and it's no longer news that China is having a very strong foothold in Africa. So it wouldn't be out of place, some would argue, for Nigeria to meet China for help. I mean, they are one of the two biggest countries, in the world economically.
so what I'm trying to say is that Tinubu is wasting our resources traveling abroad. He was not elected to be touring
The world.
the world. He should be here and solve the problem that we are having here. Understand? If he's truly a compassionate president, there's no way 167 people were abducted and he will be in another country. It doesn't show empathy at all.
Meanwhile, here at home, suspected terrorists who abducted the 166 worshippers in Kaduna, local government area of Kaduna State, have increased their ransom demand to 250 million naira and 20 motorcycle. The insecurity situation keep getting from bad to worse with no end in sight, unfortunately.
Because they don't want it to end. Understand? They don't want it to end. One, this abduction has become a lucrative business, with even governments participating in ransom payments. Understand? With government participating in ransom payment, with government negotiating with bandits. So, and this should be about 10 days now that these people have been in captivity. Imagine 167 people. Where would you keep them? Is it in a hole? Is it in a forest? That drones cannot see them. Because I used to imagine where you can keep, because you cannot keep hide 160 sheep. It's not easy. You cannot hide 160 sheep. Then where can you keep 100 and something people for 10 days and nobody will see them? How are they eating? Who is feeding them? So for me, this has become a joint business between government and the bandits. So, but the most important thing is let government do anything possible to get those people out.
Well, hopefully the several travels by the president will begin to yield some security results. Let's hope this meeting with Turkish president.
Buhari traveled for 8 years and nothing happened.
Well, I choose to be optimistic anyway. Let's hope this will start yielding some result. So let's go to the coup. After months of denial by the Nigerian Army, DHQ, and the federal government, they finally come out to confirm that there was actually a coup attempt. And the latest report is that they've uncovered the army colonel that allegedly the mastermind of the coup, that's the unconstitutional takeover, attempted takeover of the President Bola Tinubu administration. Although there have been a twist to it in the sense that some Nigerians are beginning to doubt if there was actually a coup, or they are just trying to punish these army personnel for maybe not supporting the present administration, or for being disgruntled in terms of promotion and whatever thing these personnel have against the army structure and the federal government. What's your thought on that?
For me, one, even though we are not practicing a democracy right now in the country.
Well, on paper we are.
Even though we are not practicing, no, democracy does not mean wearing suits, the type that Tinubu wore in Turkey, or wearing agbada, That's not the meaning of democracy. The meaning of democracy is development. Understand? And when we don't have development, we are not practicing democracy. When an election is not free, fair, and credible, it is not a democracy. So what we are practicing now is fascism. Understand? That is what we are currently practicing. But even at that, I'm not in support of a military intervention in government.
Okay.
I'm not in support of military intervention because military are not trained to rule. Understand? They are trained to fight. They should focus on
fighting.
That's on the fight. What I want is a democratic rebellion of the people. That is using our voters' card to chase out unperforming government. That is my own issue. But the truth is, this issue of this coup thing has not made any sense to me. Understand? I have followed it from when Sahara reporters broke this news towards the end of November up to now. Understand? It has never made any sense
whatsoever.
To me. Because they are saying that the colonel was disgruntled because he failed the promotional exams 2 times. That cannot lead to any change of government. I know of somebody who retired as a major general now, who was a colonel for 12 years. He never seeks to overthrow any government. A colonel for 12 years.
But people react to things differently.
So for me, the stories that they are giving of failing exams shouldn't warrant a change of government. If you become frustrated, you resign. You get out of the system. Understand? He's already that's a commissioned officer, a colonel. Understand? So yesterday, Femi Fanana said that the military should apologize to Nigerians. Understand?
I don't earlier denying the coup attempt.
I don't agree with that.
Okay.
Because coup is a very serious thing. Understand? Before you come out and announce a coup, you must have done your thorough investigation. Understand? You must have done your thorough investigation because, understand, if you see to mind, is it murder or suicide? Understand? Is it murder? So you must do your own forensic test to know actually whether the person was murdered or he committed suicide.
But at the same time, the Nigerian army should have come out to say investigation is on the way. Whatever finding to be made public, not outrightly denying. I mean, they made statement like unscrupulous Nigerians trying to create unrest in the country and stuff like that.
The issue is senior military officers are trained on deception. Deception is an act of war. Understand? So when you come and just let the whole bag, the cat out of the bag, understand? Some people will want to escape. Understand?
No, it's not a matter of letting cat out of the bag. It's a matter of remaining neutral. We are investigating. If the army is trained out of deception, what about the federal government then? That supported what the army said. They
gave a reason, even though it sounded stupid. Understand? They were arrested for failing exams. Where on earth are people arrested for failing exams? So they gave reasons which sounded stupid. Understand? But the issue now, according to them, they have confirmed that it's a coup attempt. Understand? Let them now go ahead. But the reasons that they are giving to me doesn't add up.
So let me get it clear for you. Do you believe there was actually a coup attempt or none? Or there were coup attempts, but they're not exactly giving the reasons for the coup attempt? Where's your stand?
For me, there could be a mutiny.
Okay.
There could be a mutiny, not really a coup
Of the
the soldiers,
army
because
formations.
in that
Okay.
side-
Army leadership.
In that kind of a thing, what failing exams and lack of promotion can lead to mutiny, that rebelling against the system.
The army authority.
Understand me? Sure. So that's what my man is telling me.
But at the same time, I mean, if the allegations are true, the colonel was able to convince lots of other senior military personnel from the army and the air force to join in the attempted coup.
Since they say it is a coup, let them go ahead, but let it be an open trial.
Okay, I mean that's exactly what the senior advocate Femi Falana said
Let
yesterday.
let it be an open trial.
He said if there was really a coup, then it's beyond military judiciary. It has to go to the higher civilian courts. So with open trial, we're able to get real details and real story of what happened.
Let
really.
it be an open trial. For me, it could be a mutiny in the army. That's what my mind is telling me.
That's been disguised as a coup.
As a coup.
Anyway, Voice of the People will definitely be here to monitor the situation and see what happened. Was there a coup? Was there no coup? We're going to find out in due time. Now, the House of Representatives had a committee probing agricultural subsidies, intervention funds, aids and grants. Have summoned the Auditor General of the Federation and the Ministers of Finance and Agriculture of what the lawmakers have described as glaring gaps in accountability for funds released to the sector between 2015 and 2025. Now, there is something going on in these subcommittees in the National Assembly where there have been summons by these lawmakers, by a lot of these agencies, most predominantly from the Buhari administration, for accountability discrepancies and the disappearing of funds and all that, huge sums of money. But at the end of the day, we don't get to hear the final result of this. Most of the times, the head of these agencies don't appear, and there will be repeated summons with these lawmakers threatening sanctions, which at the end of the day, the head of these agencies still don't appear. They send subordinates that end of the day don't even have proper answers for these legislatures, and yet it just dies there. We don't get to hear the EFCC or ICPC coming out to say some head must roll. Somebody must be held accountable for these missing monies.
Well, for me, in Nigeria, it's always the more you look, the less you see. These guys in the National Assembly may be looking for money that to buy votes in 2027. Understand me? They must be looking for money to buy votes in 2027. Okay, now, mind you, the people invited are not those that worked under the Buhari administration.
Okay.
Understand me? The Minister of Agriculture, understand, is of this current administration.
No, but the financial accountabilities are usually between 2015 to the time.
Yeah. So the issue is this. 2 days ago, the power minister was accused of 100 billion whatever, and that happened before he became a minister. Understand me?
Okay.
Why don't you invite the people who were in service when that happened? Are they no more in the country? How can you invite me to account for what happened when I was not in the office?
I mean, documents were supposed to have been handed over.
Supposed to have, but But are there really handovers?
And of course, I mean, the thing, that's what
You are talking of on paper.
But that's what these people
or
are
the way
supposed.
things are supposed to be.
But that's what these people are supposed to come out and say. At least accept the lawmakers' invitation and say, I wasn't handed anything. These and these and these were the document I was handed over. And then it will now be left to the hands of the lawmakers to now invite the appropriate persons.
Excuse me, the former GMD of NNPC, Kiari, where is he now? Has his case been resolved? So this shows you that these guys are making money with all this someone. That's why at the end of the day, nothing will come out of it. They are making money. When they put pressure under you, you settle, and your sin will be forgiven. So don't allow them to deceive you. Understand? Don't allow them to deceive you. They are mounting this pressure because the election is near. Maybe they have not made enough money that to buy votes.
You're talking about the lawmakers.
Sure.
So how will these summons bring out money to help their campaign?
You don't know.
Please tell me.
The MDAs have to settle their way. Understand me? The ministry
for the cases to be
sure,
closed.
Sure. That's why nothing.
Okay.
Who have been jailed that's over this? Who have been taken to EFCC over this? So it shows you that these people are settling behind the scene.
Okay, let us end it here, Dr. Anosike. Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure talking to you again.
Thank you for having me.
That was Peter Anosike, a current affairs analyst. He's an academic doctor with PhD in consulting and profit management from Brunel University in the state of Delaware, United States. He is the author of the book Abuse of Power: How Democracy Turned into Tyranny of the Few. And for a quick look at what's happening outside Nigeria, a South Korean judge has handed the country's former First Lady, Kim Hyun-hee, 20 months in jail for accepting lavish gifts from a cult-like church on Wednesday, but acquitted her for alleged stock manipulation and other financial crimes and charges. Controversy has long surrounded 53-year-old Kim and accusations of graft influence peddling and even academic fraud dominating her husband Yoon Suk Yeol's time in office. Both are now in custody. Yoon for actions taken during his disastrous declaration of martial law in December 2024 and its chaotic aftermath, and Kim for corruption. On Wednesday, Judge Woo In-sung of the Seoul Central District Court found her guilty of corruption and sentenced her to 20 months in prison. She was found to have accepted lavish bribes from the cult-like Unification Church, including a Chanel bag and a Graf necklace. Prosecutors had asked for 15 years. Judge Wu said Kim's close proximity to the president had given her significant influence that she had taken advantage of. The former First Lady has denied all the charges, claiming the allegations were deeply unjust in a final testimony last month. But she also apologized for causing trouble despite being a person of no importance. Still in international news, the United States has started unblocking Venezuelan funds that were frozen under sanctions, the South American country's interim president said in the latest sign of rapprochement between long-term foes. Now, Caracas has been under U.S. sanctions, including an oil embargo, since 2019, following Nicolas Maduro's first disputed claim to re-election the previous year. During his first term, U.S. President Donald Trump also froze Venezuelan funds in international accounts, with which Maduro estimated in 2022 amounted to some $30 billion. Delcy Rodriguez, acting as president since Maduro's toppling in a deadly U.S. military operation in January 3, made the announcement on state television. She did not specify the amounts that were unfrozen. On Rodriguez's watch, various agreements have been struck between Washington and the interim Venezuelan regime. Rodriguez has sought to improve ties with Trump, who has vowed repercussions if her interim government made up of Maduro loyalists does not toe Washington's line. This includes granting access to Venezuela's vast oil resources. And finally, in our sports news, Novak Djokovic's journey continues at the Australian Open after he advanced to semi-finals when Lorenzo Musetti retired injured while leading by 2 sets. The 38-year-old Serbian, chasing a standalone record 25th Grand Slam singles title, struggled against the inspired Italian, appearing wayward, error-strewn and frustrated in front of a stunned Melbourne crowd. Musetti, the 5th seed, was 6-4, 6-3 up and seemed on the verge of a semi-final berth before he pulled out earlier in the 3rd set. Musetti had taken a medical timeout for treatment on his thigh but unable to serve as more properly or move properly, conceding the match at 3-1 in the 3rd. The heartbroken Italian was helped off the court by a member of his team. Djokovic himself had struggled physically, receiving treatment for blisters on his feet at the end of the 2nd set. His advance follows another stroke of fortune after 4th-round opponent Jakob Mensut withdrew due to injury. Djokovic has not won a set since his 3rd-round victory over Botic van de Zandschulp on 24 January, highlighting the luck that has so far aided his run. And just before we go, here again are our top stories. President Erdogan of Turkey promises to stand by Nigeria in fights against terrorism. Terrorists raise ransom to 250 million naira and 20 motorcycles to free 166 abducted worshippers in Kaduna. The HQ's investigation uncovers a colonel who allegedly plotted coup to oust Tinubu. We also brought a story that House of Reps summons Auditor General, Finance and Agriculture Ministers over missing records on farm subsidies. On an international scene, South Korea's ex-First Lady jailed for 20 months for taking bribes. And in sport, Djokovic scrubs into Australian Open semi-finals after Musetti injury. And that's the World News at 12 on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. I am Solomon FM. Do follow our social media handles at VOP903FM. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at VOP903FM. Good afternoon and thank you for listening.